As we can already see in the Psalms, we often find King David, who wrote many of the Psalms, crying out to God to save him from his enemies. One of those enemies was his own adult son, Absalom. Yep, that Absalom. Remember him? So, whatever happened to him? As I mentioned in a previous video, the story of Absalom gets pretty bizarre. First, let's do a little review. We can already see why the Psalms King David wrote were sounding more and more desperate as he cried out to God. Absalom did not like his dad being king because he wanted the throne. You're not the boss of me, kids. But let's take a look at what happens next in 2 Samuel chapter 18. Absalom has now sent an army of 12,000 soldiers to hunt down his dad. King David has also sent his own army out to thwart the attack. Let's read. So we're reading in chapter 18, verses 6 through 18. So the troops marched into the field to meet the Israelites. The battle was fought in the Ephraim forest. The army of Israel was defeated there by David's soldiers. A great slaughter of 20,000 men took place that day. The battle spread out over the entire countryside, and the forest devoured more soldiers than the sword that day. Absalom came upon some of David's men. Absalom was riding on a mule, and the mule went under the tangled branches of a large oak tree. Absalom's head got caught in the tree. He was left hanging in midair, while the mule under him kept on going. One of the men saw this and reported to Joab, "I just saw Absalom hanging from an oak tree." Joab said to the man who told him, "You saw this? Why didn't you kill him on the spot? I would have given you 10 pieces of silver and a belt." But the man said to Joab, "Even if I had 1,000 pieces of silver in my hand, I wouldn't touch the king's son. We heard what the king commanded you, Abishai and Ittai, for my sake, take care of my boy Absalom. If I had taken Absalom's life behind the king's back then, though nothing is hidden from the king, you would have kept your distance from me." Joab said, "I won't waste time like this with you." He took 3 sticks in his hand and drove them into Absalom's chest while he was still alive in the oak. Then 10 young armor-bearers of Joab surrounded Absalom, struck him, and killed him. Then Joab sounded the trumpet, and the troops stopped chasing the Israelites because Joab held them back. They took Absalom and threw him into a big pit in the forest. They piled over him a huge heap of stones. Meanwhile, all the Israelites fled to their homes. When he was alive, Absalom had raised a large pillar for himself in the king's valley because he said, "I have no son to carry on the memory of my name." He named the pillar after himself. It is called Absalom's Monument to this day. Well, that was not on my Bible bingo card, but there you have it, the rest of the story. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.